Hey there, everyone. My topic for today is energy. And as mentioned in my March review and April preview, I guess, I mentioned that April really feels like the theme for the month is energy. So I'm kind of doing a back to basics set this month. And I'm starting out with energy work. So an introduction to energy. And I'm going to try to stick to my outline here. So let's see how it goes. I have kind of 5 different segments here that I want to talk about. The first one is, what is energy? We have tried as human beings to define energy over the years, specifically in science, and the definitions come out sounding kind of like, let's see, it is a property or ability, the thing that makes something work. So these definitions are very vague, very nondescript. And the reason for that is because energy is not something we can really experience in a tangible sense. Energy is not something we can see or taste or smell or feel, which makes it very difficult for us as human beings to understand it, to make it part of our lives, because that's what we do as human beings. We try to rationalize everything. We want to have a reason for everything. We cannot just accept life as it is. For some reason, that goes against the grain for us. So these scientific definitions of energy are really not very helpful. The one thing that I do find helpful is the idea or the fact that we know energy is changeable. We can change energy, but we cannot destroy it. So that to me indicates this is something far beyond our control. We try to control everything, nature included, but energy is outside of that. So the way I like to or prefer to think of energy is as the divine spark. This idea that it is what makes us work. It's what gives us our animation. Without energy, we would not be. Our hearts would not beat. Our metabolism wouldn't work. We would not function. And energy, if we look at atoms, protons, electrons, everything moving together, everything is a series of little energetic pieces moving in vibration. It's all vibrating, either slower or faster, all around each other. So there is not a single solid thing in existence anywhere. What we view as solid, really, when we get down to the minutia, is not. So that is an indicator, a very real indicator for me, that everything is connected. Energy, it flows into and out of and through, and for all we like to think that things are definite and solid, they're really not. And that is the key concept that is so important in energy work. It's going to basically be the thing that helps us create our energy work. So where is energy? Energy is everywhere. It's all around us. It's free-flowing, in my opinion. Does it have a form? Yes and no, depends who you talk to. Does it have an actual form? No. It's kind of like water, flowing anywhere, everywhere, into and out of. But that is very difficult for us, again, as human beings to conceptualize, and we can't effectively manipulate or use something or be in tune with it until we can conceptualize it. If we don't understand it, we can't use it. So a few tools that we've developed to help ourselves understand are things like spheres of energy. This can be internal or external. Almost every religion or spiritual practice, I'll say, in the world has some idea of internal energy centers. Most commonly known is the chakra system, the 7 energy chakras within the body. You can also view energy as being kind of a bigger set of spheres. You have your own personal energy, which you can view as the aura, or your own kind of bubble of energy. And then we have the earth energy coming up from the earth, the sky energy, or the universe coming down from the sky. And then kind of overarching all of that is divine energy. That's the universe and everything as far out as can be. That system of overlapping spheres I came across first through Christopher Penczak and his books. That is spelled out, I know, in the Inner Temple of Witchcraft book, which I absolutely love. I love all of his books. I think they're very well put together and they are very good for study. So that would be a good reference to see, and he does have a good picture in there of the different spheres. Another way of viewing energy or conceptualizing energy would be as a web. This idea that because it is free-flowing into and out of everything and it connects everything, it is fairly easy to think of energy as like a giant spider's web. And I kind of really like that imagery. I like the idea of a web that connects everything. Now, I won't say a very good source, but a good kind of written imagery for that, and please do not laugh because this is cheesy, but that I found was in a romance novel. One of my mom's romance novels. I was visiting home, picked it up. It's called Kiss of the Goblin Prince by Shona Husk. And it is adorable. Basically, the Goblin Prince, the main character, he is by chance also a magus who knows all sorts of magical spiritual stuff, and he is actually able to see this web. He sees it as kind of these golden threads connecting everything, and the health of that web, where strings are connected or disconnected, the thickness of the connections between people indicates the health of the connection of either that person or the connections between the people, and he's able to heal people or things or make changes to his world around him by manipulating those threads. So that's a concept that I really enjoy, and I think it works very well with what we're going to go into in actually using energy in our witchcraft, spiritual, pagan, whatever practice. So next item. So this is the form. What form does energy take? Next item is, how do we experience energy? Well, I have a whole separate video that I'm going to put up for you on how I personally experience energy. It can be different for everyone. You really have to, once you start playing with it, you'll figure out how you experience it. And again, in Penczak's books, he gives different exercises for starting to manipulate and kind of play with energy, just to get a feel for how you experience it. But one book that I found very helpful in this was this one here. Let me see if I can get over it. You Are Psychic by Pete Sanders. It's an older book. I first ran into it years ago when I was part of a psychic development workshop at the local metaphysical shop. And I really liked, we basically used it almost like a textbook. We used the exercises from this book to kind of practice our psychic abilities, and I really enjoyed it. And this author puts experiencing energy into 4 areas, 4 psychic reception areas. You have the first one, which is feeling, and that, he says, is generally the reception area is basically your stomach or your abdomen. And so you can relate that to a gut feeling, when you just have a gut feeling about something. Next one is intuition, when you just know something. You don't know how you know it, but you know. And I would have to look up what the actual reception site is, because he links all of these with actual sites on the body. The third is hearing, and that's obviously, it's not actually the ears. So this is clairaudience. It's not actually the ears that are hearing, but it's, I think, just in front of the ears is the reception area, where this psychic or this type of energy comes in, and those people who are clairaudient, they will then hear messages. And the last one is vision. And again, this is not the physical eyes, but it is the third eye or inner eye that sees visions. So these are some of the ways that you might experience energy when you start working with it. My last bit on energy work is why work with energy? Why bother? And this is important because I'm sure we've all met those naysayers that say, well, you can't manipulate life around you. The world is what it is. And to some extent, that's true. We have certain options when we want to change our situation. And by the way, this is a uniquely human thing as far as I know. We want to change everything all the time. We are not satisfied with things just as they are. So let's say, for example, I want to increase my financial wealth. That's a very popular desire. How would I do that? I would maybe try to either find a job or get a promotion or get an pay raise for the work that I already do, maybe find additional things I could do to raise money. But all of these things are things I can do right now on this material plane to change my situation. But if we go back to this idea of energy being fluid, being not restricted to our human conventional ideas of time and space, then when you think about it, this is very limiting. If energy is not limited to my little reality, then who's to say I can't use other planes, dimensions, times, etc. to influence what I've got going on right now? I think that it opens up doors, it opens up options. And this is where we begin to work with prayers, spells, mantras, when we realize that it doesn't have to just be up to us. Yes, we need to work toward manifesting change in our lives, but we don't need to be restricted by just what we ourselves can do. We can ask for help, and that help can come in the form of energy. Whether you believe in energetic beings, angels, a divine being, or energy in general. Whatever you believe in, it can be connected to and manipulated or used to help you in what you want to manifest. So that is the reason why we use energy. That is the reason why we learn to recognize it, why we learn to kind of play with it, why we learn how to experience it. Because by doing this, we open up our options. And we find out that once we let go of the constraints that we put on ourselves with our conventional ideas that everything has to fit in a little box with a bow on it, once we let go of that and realize that things can come from any direction and that's okay, it frees up energy to flow more naturally. And we find that, at least I find that, things come easier. Things start to happen more fluidly, with less stress and less effort on my part, because I am allowing for the idea that everything, that I can put out my intention out to the world, and now it is not just me working on it, I have help. So that's why we use energy. And if you do need any additional help with letting go of the conventional idea of I need to control everything, one source that I have found to be really helpful with that is Tosha Silver's books, and they are on prayers. I believe one of her books was called Change Me Prayers. I can't remember if it's the first or second, but both her books are very good. And these prayers, she talks about exactly that, about letting go. Learn to let go, and all of a sudden, things will start to work for you. And that is all energy work. All right, so I'm going to cut off there. Those were my main points I wanted to go over, and my next item will be I will share with you how I personally experience energy. Okay, see you then. Bye.